Getty Brexit news. The EU is faced with the difficult task of finding some £11.5 billion after the UK leaves. EU finance bosses are considering a raft of new levies to drum up cash after Britain's departure, including an increased tourist tax and asking member states to pay more in contributions, a controversial proposal which is likely to be an extremely tough sell. In addition to the forecasted deficit, Europe is also facing the prospect of needing to find an additional £8.85 billion €10 billion to fund border protection, tackling terrorism and defence projects. And although Britain has committed to honour its financial obligations until 2020, the EU is now facing the difficult challenge of drawing up a budget blueprint for the next 7 years. The new budget will run from 2021 until 2027 and will need the agreement of all 27 member states before it comes into force. But despite Britain's impending departure and the loss of one of its biggest net contributors, an EU official told The Telegraph Brussels is considering upping its current £852 billion €960 billion spend. EU leaders are set to discuss the budget gap at a summit on February 23, but the European Commission is not likely to reveal its full plans until May. However, a number of options have already been discussed publicly by senior officials, giving member states some idea of what they might expect. The quickest way to make up for the post-Brexit shortfall would be to ask member states to stump up more in contributions. GETTYEU finance boss Gunther Oettinger admitted the bloc may need to make small cuts to cohesion policy. Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker has already expressed his support for the idea. Germany, the EU's economic powerhouse, has signaled it would be willing to pay more, but other member states, including the Netherlands, Denmark and Sweden, are reportedly resisting. And Austria's new government has already pledged it will not to pay a penny more to the EU's coffers. One of the new levies being considered by Brussels is a hike in the cost of entering the bloc for non-EU nations. Getty. Jean-Claude Juncker has said he would like to see the remaining EU 27 pay more. Wednesday, September 13, 2017. Jean-Claude Juncker kisses Vice President of the European Commission Frans Timmermans. About 30 million foreign visitors are currently subject to a £4.40 €5 levy to enter the bloc without a visa. The fee is already likely to be up to £6.20 €7, according to the Financial Times. Any increase in the European Travel Information and Authorization System (ETIAS) charge would likely apply to the millions of Britons who holiday in or travel to Europe once the UK leaves the bloc. The EU is also considering a new tax which would affect the use of plastic bags and packaging. Get it, the UK contributes around 11% of the EU's total budget. If agreed, it would bring in some much-needed cash as well as helping the EU 27 deal with growing problem of plastic waste. However, details on how the tax would actually work are thin at this stage, and some EU commissioners are reportedly not sold on the idea. The EU's flagship emissions trading system ETS could also be in line for reform, potentially with profits from the scheme diverted straight into the union's coffers. The ETS sets limits on the amount of carbon dioxide businesses can emit, but also allows firms to trade their unused allowance on an open market.